Summer 1981, my 22nd birthday, midnight, going to the Anvil, 14th Street. I've made it to the Big Apple. I am a newly minted gay man, exploring this new world, feeling free for the first time in my life. A whole new world opening up to me, a world I didn't know existed a year ago. Full moon tonight. Gary, Ed, Doug, and I take the A train downtown, walk past the trucks parked on Hudson, past the fresh slabs of cow hanging from their hooves, the meatpacking district, past the punks in their leather with their 3-day beards, past the disco bunnies dressed in their hot pink shorts, sweat pouring out on a hot August werewolf evening, past the garbage cans burning from the day's heat, sidewalk melting like a grilled cheese sandwich, the scent of sex in the air, urgent breaths, whispers, followed by satisfied moans and sighs, the smell of poppers and grass in the air. We get closer. Steam emerges from grates like fiery blasts from dragons guarding palace gates. I get to the door. Skinny man in his 40s wearing a leather vest looks me up and down. Fresh meat. He collects $5 from each of us and lets us in. Hit by an immediate smell of sweat and poppers and sex, and it's so dark I can't really see, but I can sense. I have gone through the looking glass. The song Walk the Night plays with its undulating rhythm and insidious innuendo. And then my eyes adjust to the light, and I see hundreds of shirtless men, young, bald, black, leather, men over 30 years old, eyes, some with pupils as big as saucers, others hidden deliciously by motorcycle glasses. Ed pours some powder into my drink. Men in white shirts, men in leather vests, men in faded jeans, men with handkerchiefs and keys protruding from the left or right pockets. I make a note to myself. What is the hanky code? What do the colors mean? Is left the top and right the bottom, or is it the other way around? It doesn't matter. It's my 22nd birthday, and I am here, and I'm with my friends, and we join the throng of dancing, twirling men. There could hardly be a more incongruous image than a disco ball in this, the most decadent of spaces. But there it is, above the small contained dance floor, spinning above the sweating, humping, happy men. And there is a flag dancer on the edge of the crowd, turning and twisting his colored flags. And the ball turns, and the flags fly, and the men gyrate, and everything is color and music and freedom. Freedom. And it is the end of the disco area, but we don't know it yet. And we dance. We dance. We dance as if our lives depend on it. Years later, I learned that downstairs, beneath the rumbling, thumping dance floor, there was a room where men went to have sex. They fumbled in the dark, groping, no words, the silence occasionally punctuated by the sound of a moan or an orgasmic sigh of release. The men would go back and forth, from upstairs to downstairs, from dance to sex and back to dance. But to me, this was where the energy was, here on the dance floor, with the sexual energy as thick as the oppressive humidity outside. The MDA is kicking in, and I take another hit of Coke. A muscular black drag queen in neon pink hot pants and an afro 9 feet wide stands on top of the bar and lip syncs Black Butterfly. And then another drag queen takes the stage and performs to It's My Life. And then they share the spotlight for a Shirley Bassey medley. I have no fear, no inhibitions. I am 22 and I am hot, and everyone in the room is sharing the same energy. I approach a cute, muscular guy and shout above the roaring music, "It's my birthday!" And I take him by the hand and we dance. And the drag queens perform, and the music blasts, and the flags fly, and the men sweat, and the disco ball turns and turns. And it's 4 hours later, and I'm still dancing. I have lost time, but it doesn't matter. None of it matters, because I am young and hopeful, and life is a fantastic ride into the unknown, and I know that I will never pass this way again. And we keep on dancing. 4, 5, 6 a.m. Keep on. 7, 8, 9. And the lights come up. And sure enough, it's Donna Summer's last dance. I greet the morning sun. Sweaty, leather-clad men come swarming into the streets that smell of New York City garbage and freshly baked bread. A bunch of us go to Tiffany's on Christopher Street, where the punks and the drag queens drink coffee and smoke cigarettes and eat omelets and whole wheat toast, and then more coffee and more cigarettes. Then I say goodbye to Gary and Ed and Doug, and I take the cab uptown with my newfound friend to his studio, walk up on 78th Street, and we fuck. And we take quaaludes to come down, and we fall asleep with the late morning sun streaming against his window shades, lying in each other's arms. And I am happy. I am happy because my life is beginning, and I am free. And now is the time to dance. Now is the time to shake, to ride, to leap, to fly, to move. Now is the time to experience all of this. And I know that someday soon, I'll want to settle down, and I'll want that body next to mine to be the same one every night, to come home to every night and grow old together. But not now, because there's time for that. There will be lots of time. Now is the time to dance.
It's 1959 and I'm 6 years old. My family has gathered at my grandparents' house this Sunday to watch the Ed Sullivan Show. I'm sitting on the cold linoleum floor watching as this very tall, thin, very regal-looking woman walks onto the stage. Her gray hair is pulled back in a severely tight bun, and she's wearing a high-necked, long-sleeved black dress. The music starts as she begins to sway from side to side as if blown by the wind. And then she's pirouetting and gliding across the stage, and I am mesmerized. I cannot take my eyes off her. The music stops and the applause thunders out of the television. Suddenly, I jump to my feet and I begin swaying and gliding across the room and spinning and twirling. "What the hell has gotten into you?" my dad yells at me. "Nothing, Daddy. I just want to dance." It's 1965 and I'm 12 years old. I'm alone at my junior high school's annual Swing into Spring dance. Mr. DeCecco, the phys ed teacher, is spinning 45s on an old record player hooked up to the PA system. He drops the needle on Chubby Checker's The Twist, and I can't sit still anymore. I walk across the gym floor and stand before Beverly Wilkins, the only African-American girl in this lily-white school. "Do you know how to do the twist?" I ask her. She shrugs and says, "Sure," as she stands up and we walk out onto the dance floor. She looks so pretty in a yellow dress with yellow ribbons braided into her pigtails. We twisted through Chubby Checker and then through the Beatles' Love Me Do. The next song is a slow dance, You've Lost That Lovin' Feeling by the Righteous Brothers. Slow dance with me, I ask, and she just shrugs. I put my left hand on her waist. She puts her right hand on my shoulder, and I take her left hand in my right. But before we dance a half dozen steps, Mr. Checo pounces on us and separates us like a couple of boxers in an illegal clinch. He looks down at me and yells, "You should know better." And at Beverly he yells, "And you should stick with your own kind." "We didn't do anything," I pleaded. "It's because I'm colored," Beverly says. She turns and runs out of the gymnasium to the girls' bathroom. "Why did you yell at us?" I asked Mr. DeCecco. "We didn't do anything wrong. We just want to dance." It's 1989, just 1 week before I find out that I'm HIV positive. It's 9:30 on a Saturday night, and I've just returned home from another memorial service. It's my second memorial service that day, my third that week. I've been to so many memorials already. I'm only 36 years old, and I've already lost 36 of my friends. I'm tired, and I'm hurting, and I'm afraid to be alone tonight. I need to dance. I need to sweat. I need to flirt. I need to move. I need to forget the memorial services and all the grief and chaos, all the death and terror. So I pull on my jeans, lace up my boots, and put on a tank top. I'm headed to the end up because I know that more than anything, I just want to dance. And now it's 2018, and I've just turned 65. The virus that invaded my body 30 years ago continues to inflict its damage. I used to have forearms like Popeyes and biceps the size of tennis balls. Today I'm so weak that I can't lift anything much heavier than this cane. My bones have grown so brittle that I have fractured my spine just by bending over. I've lost so much muscle in my legs that I cannot climb stairs without assistance. Some days I can barely walk at all. Still, no matter how painful it is, I know it's true. I still just want to dance. So tonight, I'm hoping for a miracle. Send me a tall, strong, dancing God. Let him see me from across the room. See how hungry I am to be dancing. Let him cut through the crowd on the dance floor and walk right up to me. Let him offer his hand and pull me up to my feet and guide me to the middle of the dance floor where I kick off my shoes so I can stand on the top of his boots. I want to wrap my arms around his neck and lay my cheek on his shoulder as he dances me around the room. Dance me to a time and a place where I can sway and glide and twirl like Martha Graham and no one yells at me. Dance me to a time and place where I can hold Beverly Wilkins in my arms and dance with her like a righteous brother and no one yells at me. Dance me to a time and place where all my friends are still alive and kicking up their heels. Dance me to the end of the universe and back. Dance me to the end of time itself. And if this turns out to be the last waltz, that's okay. Tonight, I just want to fucking dance.
The 1980s were one long, deadly, violent tornado. Lightning seared our eyes with the sight of lesions, purple-brown volcanic craters on tissue-thin white skin, veined red and blue like hellish road maps. Of wasting faces, swallowed by oxygen masks, nostrils raked by breathing tubes, sunken, sightless, staring eyes in darkened sockets, burrowing toward the back of skulls, chalky, concave, cadaverous cheeks, tongues silently, dryly swabbing lips that once burned with passion, now chapped and cracked and scabbed with fever, and skeletal fingers at the ends of weak, bone-white hands, lying on rumpled, sweat-soaked sheets or naked sunken chests, slowly flexing and curling, twisting in pain, trembling and throbbing with a timbre and rhythm all their own, sometimes reaching out, inarticulately begging to be held, stroked, afraid of breaking with each caress, of arms and legs reduced to useless, knobby scarecrow twigs, too feeble to stand or walk, punctured with intravenous needles and tubes taped to taut, translucent skin, turning gray, then blue, then purple, and lifeless, emaciated bodies slowly, finally draped with one last clean, dry sheet from toe to head. Thunder broke our sleep and pounded us with hysterical nightmare screams and the shrieks of grief from the friends and lovers of the dying. The wet, throbbing sobs of confused, exhausted lovers left naked to stumble and grope noisily in the night for the remnants of a life senselessly ripped from them. The mind-numbing drone and beep and whir of hospital machines when all was stat. The ear-piercing, nerve-shredding shriek of those machines when things went wrong. The cacophonous madhouse roar of doctors and nurses storming into the room, desperate to revive the bodies of those desperate to die. The haughty, demanding, self-righteous snarls and shouts of freshly interested fathers and cousins and mothers and sisters who never gave a fuck about the dead while they were living, stealing the dead's life and viciously spewing their filthy, hateful, sanctimonious bile all over us who had taken their places. The wind threw all of us around, helter-skelter. We reeled, helpless and hopeless, from one hospital room to the next hospice bed to the next memorial, suspended in terror, haunted and spent from night sweats, dizzy with unanswered questions, enraged at our leaders who ignored our pleas, furious with our friends for dying without us. Terrified to look in the mirror for every pimple foretold catastrophe, hesitant to make love to one another for fear of catching, or worse, spreading an invisible killer virus. And tired, so fucking tired. Tired of acting up, tired of fighting, tired of mourning, tired of red ribbons. Tired of being stigmatized and treated as lepers, tired of choosing between cremating or burying our dead, tired of organizing fundraisers, tired of going to memorials, tired of picking up each week's Bay Area Reporter and turning immediately to the obituaries pages to see which of our friends had died that week. Equally tired and ashamed of never seeing our own names there. Just so tired. Our tornado dead are long gone now, long mourned, long loved. Once the tornado wound down, once the lightning flickered out and the thunder rolled along and the wind huffed and puffed its way over the horizon, We formed search parties and gathered up our survivors from among the rubble. Bruised and scarred, we survived. We survived the tornado because we held each other as tight as we could for as long as we could, no matter which one of us was sick. Because we shopped for each other's cheese and asparagus at Trader Joe's. We picked up each other's meds at Kaiser. We dusted each other's apartments and disinfected each other's bathrooms. We laundered each other's sweaty bed sheets and hauled each other's Labradors and Terriers to the groomer. We returned each other's library books and Blockbuster videos. We hid each other's porn stashes from nosy mothers. We fed each other hot and sour wonton soup from the corner dive, or bear claws from that Polk Street donut shop, or homemade chicken soup made from heirloom recipes. We changed and cleaned each other. We dressed each other for doctor's appointments or a night on the town. We undressed each other for a soaking hot tub or a cuddle before sleep. We licked each other's tears and salved each other's wounds. And we made art together. We sewed a quilt so no one will forget our names. We wrote poems about the men with night sweats. We told stories about longtime companions and early frosts. We made plays about American angels and normal hearts. We painted faces, screaming in pain, and photographed lovers shrinking in repose. And we loved each other, gently, tearfully, fearlessly. We loved each other. And we proclaimed that love sacred. And it was.
Wow. I've been living with HIV for 36 years now. I've known both the before and the after of the drug treatment cocktail that dramatically changed the course of the epidemic, seemingly overnight, 24 years ago. And I share a common bond with many of my fellow long-term survivors. In 1996, we were the ones who had made it to the other side, bloodied, shell-shocked, and uncertain of the future. Well-meaning friends and family members, undoubtedly themselves relieved that the epidemic was now over, urged us to return to our so-called normal lives. But much of the damage had been done. Careers ended, relationships thwarted, finances ruined, friends and lovers lost, psyches scarred. In 1996, I witnessed men on their deathbeds become their former bodybuilder selves, seemingly overnight. But no one really knew what then was to come. The new wave of afflictions, the secondary phase for those of us whose bodies and immune systems have been racked by years of viral infestation and toxic chemicals. Lymphomas, heart disease, high cholesterol, bone loss, diabetes, and neuropathy would now add to the list of ailments that already included depression, fatigue, body fat abnormalities, sinus infections, and PTSD. In less than a decade, I would experience all of those conditions like a medical checklist created for those lucky enough to hang on. For many years, I've had this recurring dream. I am adrift at sea, clinging on to a flimsy life raft while sailing vessels of all kinds pass me by. Cruise ships filled with laughing, flirtatious young men, yachts with blue-blazered captains and champagne-swilling heiresses, sailboats with a joyful skipper tilting his headsail into the wind while his blissfully straw-hatted fiancée dips her delicate toes into the rushing water. Canoes with happy men and women paddling their first blush of romance. Even kayakers who, though alone, are healthy and robust, their triceps ablaze with the knowledge that a good lover and a good beer awaits them when they return to shore. Some of them wave as they pass by. Others barely notice me. "Take me with you," I cry. But to no avail. None of them can hear me, not on the cruise ship, the yacht, the sailboat, the canoe, or the kayak. "Howdy," some of them cry, seeing me out there in the deep. "Ahoy, mate!" Many are friendly. They mean no disrespect. They just somehow do not see that I am clinging to a raft alone and that I am scared. Perhaps it's my demeanor. Nothing about me indicates that I am in any kind of pain or that I want to be saved. "Take me with you," I cry. But they hear, "Isn't it a wonderful day?" They do not understand. They think I'm out for a swim. Every so often in this dream, another life raft will come floating by. It's usually occupied by a person from those pre-cocktail years, someone who remembers the horror, who was there when it all started and who remained as it devastated our lives. We are two souls lost in the night, finding each other floating in the middle of the ocean. And we smile because we found another person who understands. Perhaps there will be no rescue, but at least there is some comfort. And at least for that moment, neither of us feels quite so alone. And then I wake up. Roy Hoffman, famous in West Village literary circles in the late 20th century, lived his entire life with cerebral palsy. He rarely complained about his illness. In his memoir, Hoffman wrote, "My condition is certainly no physical barrier to an entirely adequate imitation of everyday life." An entirely adequate imitation of everyday life. This seems to be the perfect phrase to describe what it often feels like to be living with HIV as a long-term survivor. This is what it feels like, going about one's life in a constant state of anxiety, sadness, anger, anticipation, and hope, fighting isolation and antipathy, hanging on, while the rest of the world keeps strangely spinning.